Hi guys, welcome to Charities Bible USA, your number one channel. I'm here and we are gonna do another video. I hope you're doing fine. It's December 4th, 2022. And today I want to give some feedback about some of the things that have been asked about the DV lottery, some questions that have been asked. And I also have another topic that I'm gonna talk about. So thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. Guys, we are growing. We are almost 8,300 subscribers. For those who are new, welcome to our channel. Here we normally talk about a DV lottery process. And remember, this is an insight that I normally give because I am a DV lottery winner and I've gone through that process. So I was like, it's good to share. And there's a video that I'm going to post before this one is going to be on air here in a little bit. And I was talking to that person, and she was telling me that there are so many people who do not know about the DV lottery, especially if you live in the rural areas in Africa. You find that most people do not know. And if you do not know, then most probably you don't have the information about the DV lottery. So it's very, very important I feel like it's very, very important to talk about it so that someone can know that there's something that you can do. You can do an application online by yourself with no help, because it's very, very easy. When you watch some of my videos, I'm trying to adjust my light over here. When you watch some of my videos, you will find that I've done videos that try to make your application process a little bit easier. A little bit easier, so that when you're doing the application, you don't have any hiccups. So it's something that you can do for yourself. And if you want more information, there's that website that you go to, and I'm going to link the link over there, that you can read more information about it. So that's like one of the main reasons that I like to talk about the DV lottery, because it's doable. It can happen to anybody. You can win the DV lottery, despite right now the numbers that are saying that over like 30 million Kenyans have applied for the DV lottery. You can be among that one. You can be handpicked among that one, and you win your DV lottery. So that's what I normally talk about. So I have some questions here that I want to talk about. Most of them are talking about DV 2023. People are anxious. Like I told you guys, let's wait until we reach May, and then we are going to check and see. Then from there, we are going to progress. Some people are asking about the host. Don't ask about a host if you haven't won your DV lottery. Don't do that, because it's not that because you applied you must win. No, it's a lottery, guys. So don't think about the host right now. Don't think about the cost. It's not important right now to think about the budget, because you still haven't won the DV lottery. But as soon as you win the DV lottery, all these things will come into place, because you find that they tell you what you need, they tell you how much money you want, and everything. Now, let's see what's here. So there's someone who's asking me how my son got my son in 911. He just applied online. Here in the US, the good thing is that there are so many jobs. So when you come here, if you are coming from a place, a region whereby they're doing businesses because there are no jobs, then when you come here, it's a different story, because jobs are so many. So you just go online, you do the application, you go for the interview, and if you qualify, they will hire you. So that's how you get a job. You don't just it's not like and I'm going to talk about this, and it's kind of sad, because I remember when we were in Kenya, you find that there were some people who were getting some jobs simply because they knew someone somewhere, or maybe those people were not worthy for that job, but because they have a godfather somewhere, that's how they're getting a job. Now, when you come here in the US, it's very, very different, because normally what happens, you just go online, you do application for a job, they call you for an interview, or sometimes you even do a virtual interview, like an online one, and then the next day you will just go for work. You go, they do orientation, and then you're good, as long as you have given them your documentation and everything. So it's very, very easy to get a job anywhere. Some of the jobs, you need to study for, maybe to specialize in some things, and as soon as you are qualified for whatever you want to do, then you get a job. So it's not very, very hard for you to get a job when you are here in the US. Then there's another person here who is asking me the state that I live in. I normally live in Kansas. It's at the center of the map of the US. That's where I normally live. And then so let's see if there's another one. um uh Oh, so this one is saying that good job, which a good one. There's another one who is saying thank you so much for the information. This is Rachel. I pray that I will be among the winners come DV 2023. And then there's this one who says points taken. There's another one who says, thank you so much for the information I wanted to hear and learn from a single mom. Be blessed. And the next movie that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to touch, the next video, a little bit about being single and coming to live in the US. Some of the things, there's some of the experiences that we experience, especially for you to process your diversity visa. And the other person was asking, hi, it's Joachim. Ebu guzia mambo ya Airbnb in US, the cost and how to rent them, please. Now, if you want to rent an Airbnb, normally what you do, you just go online. And it depends on a region, because everybody rents their house the way they feel like they want to. So you find that if you want a house for Airbnb, it depends on where you are renting the house. It depends on where you are renting the house. So you just go online, you see the prices, you see what they have, because it's very, very important to know what is in that house. Do they have air conditioning? Do they have all that? Because I remember, and it was kind of sad. I was kind of disappointed. We did hire one time. We went. We were going to Canada during COVID time. So we hired we got this Airbnb house, but we hadn't checked that the air conditioner, because you find that here in the US it's very, very important for you to have an air conditioner. So when we rented that house, when we went, we found that the house had so many fans, and then it was so hot, like it was getting very, very warm. And then later when we called that person is when he told us that the house did not have an air conditioner, and you find that we had already paid, so we had to put up with that. So those are the things that you look at. But at the end of the day, if you want to get an Airbnb and house, what you do, you just go online, and then you get the information. Let's say, for example, when you're far away, you are even outside US, and maybe you want a house somewhere. You will go online, you will type Airbnb, and then you are going to type the region. Maybe you'll type Kansas, or you type New York, or whatever, and then that region, you're going to see the prices that are going to come up there. And then you look for the amenities of that house. Do they have air conditioning? Do they have some of them, they have pools, all the things that that are supposed to be in a house. Do they have housekeeping? All that. You look at the Airbnb and you can find that online. They are required to have all that information there, which is very, very, very important. So that one, it's just online, guys. You can't like give a fixed price for a different region, because everywhere it's different. Okay, now let's see. What can you advise a person? This one was Samuel Jongoda, like me, who has done a diploma in pharmaceutical technology in Kenya. When one come to the USA, what courses can one do so as to get a job in the USA? Now, normally what I tell you guys is that depending on whatever you're doing, when you come here in the US, you first of all start with a basic job, a job that you have not studied on. And then after you do that basic job and you settle, you get your apartment and you get all that stuff, then you will have to transfer your transcripts. You will send them to, you'll go and apply in a college, and then they will give you the procedure of how to send where to send the transcripts, so that they can be verified, and then they can be sent to the college, because you don't walk in with them. And then from there, they have been evaluated, and they say this is the grade that this person has got. And maybe you tell them, this is what I want to do. They're going to give you some classes to do or first of all, you're going to do an entry exam, and then they're going to give you some classes to do. And then you are going to major in that thing. You're going to get to, it can be a certificate or it can be a diploma or a degree, whatever. But you have to start somewhere. So if you did pharmaceuticals or whatever, you find that you have to start somewhere. But the first level is to get your transcripts verified, and then you go from there, depending on the college that you are going to, because colleges are different. And it's also very, very important for you guys to know that when you go to a state, states are very different, and states operate very differently. So there can be maybe some slight differences from state to state or from school to school. So it depends on where you want to go, and that's very, very, very important for you to know. Okay, let's see. There's another one. There's this one, Jeremiah Wambua is saying, Charity and Francis, you sound like you're really honest people. Yeah, we are very honest. Like we say it the way it is. We just don't like sugarcoating, because you feel like when you talk the truth always stands out in whatever that you're doing. So that's what we do. And then there's this one who is saying, I know this is the EB visa. They're looking for India, and then they're looking at the final action dates. Now that one, when I do the visa bulletin, the current visa bulletin that's coming on for February, I believe, then we can talk about that visa, the EB3. And then let's see. They're asking for videos with Francis. We're going to do a video in Francis. We're preparing that. I always tend to look at his schedule so that he can sit down and do some videos with me. And then the last question that I'm going to talk about before I go to another topic that I want to talk about is, how long is it going to take you to buy a car, and how much? Now, normally, the first thing that you do when you come here, you have to make sure that your documents are in order. That's especially your social. The green card might come later, but the social is very, very important. You go and get an ID so that you can get a job. And then when you get a job, it depends on the state, guys. It depends on the state that you're living in, because there are some states that you really do not need a car. And even if you had a car, you wouldn't have a good place to park it, because at their system there, they use the trains. For example, if you go to live in New York. But if you come to live here in Kansas is more interior, you will need a car to move from point A to point B. So after you get maybe your first salary or whatever, or maybe you save like $1,000, you find that with your host can help you to go and get a car like worth like $5,000, because it's gonna help you. I know that there are some people who will be like, maybe that's expensive. Maybe you need to buy a car for $1,000, which I do not agree personally, because I believe like 5,000 at least it's better, because it's not going to stop on the road, because you don't want to buy a car that has like so many mileage, because it's cheap. Maybe it's $500, if $1,000, and then every day you have to go to the mechanic for that car to be repaired. You don't want to do that, because if you do that, number one, repairing a car is very costly. So you'd rather get at your entry or at your beginning, your first car, maybe you get a $5,000 or $6,000 car. And then, because you're not required to pay all that money, you have your host. And that's why the host is very, very important, because when you come in, you don't have credit. So what your host is going to do is to hold your hand. They will go with you, you look for the car, and then the host can co-sign with you, so that, because you don't have credit anywhere. So you really need your host. And credit means that they don't know, you have not taken a debt anywhere and paid it, so that they can see how your payments are. And you find that when you come here, the system is a little bit different, because whatever you do, it goes into like a database, whereby if you want to go and buy a car and you're very new, they go and check and see that you don't have any history that you have taken a credit card anywhere, or maybe you had a debt anywhere and you have been able to pay. Now, without that, you find that it becomes a little bit harder, because they don't know you well. But when you go with your host, they will look at, as your co-signer, they will look at the credit of your host, and that's going to help you to get a car. Now, when you get that car, of course, normally what happens is that you have to, of course, you have a job. So maybe they will tell you, maybe you'll be making payments for like $200, $250 every month. And then that one, maybe they can tell you, maybe you will pay with like 5 years or whatever. It depends on the time frame that that person is going to give you, of which when you look at your payments, they might not even be like, they might even be like 200. So that's what you'll be paying every month until you are done. Of course, it doesn't give you like, that's exactly the amount that you want to pay. If you have more, you can pay more. If you want to pay faster, you can pay faster, which is good, you know. So it depends on you, but as so long as you are making your payments, you're good. So what I can say about getting a car is, as soon as you come in and you get your job and you get maybe your first wages and you get your second wages are salary, the salary that you get. Because mostly you find that here, most people, they are paid every week or they are paid every 2 weeks. And remember, when you go to work here, you are paid by the hour. Every hour there's an amount that you are paid. Every hour there's an amount that you are paid. Although I know that there are some people who work in corporate that they don't get their payments like that. Maybe they have a fixed payment, and then maybe they get some bonuses or whatever. But you find that most of the jobs that you're gonna get, you'll be paid by the hour. So if you're working like 80 hours in a week, then that's what you get. After 2 weeks, you can save that, and you're still living in your house, so you don't need to worry at that about your rent or whatever at that time, because you're eating at your host. You know, it's, you know, your host, you are just like there, and your host is caring for your everything, so that you're able to build up yourself before you move out. So it can take like a month, or maybe like 2 months, or maybe 3 months, and it all depends. There are factors that are gonna depend. For example, let's assume like you paid your for your green card and your stuff when you were in Kenya. When you come here, you find that your documents will come faster. But then, if let's assume you didn't pay for your documents, um, and then you come in, you will have to start that process. For example, if you want to go, like here in Kansas, if you want to go and get your social, you have to book an appointment. And then when you book an appointment, you'll get an appointment according to the availability, and then you will go in, and then they will tell you these are the days that you're supposed to wait for your social. You see what I mean? And then you will you're gonna go and get your ID. You can get an ID, just a regular ID. Now, before you go to buy a car, you have to do your driver's test. Like that one is mandatory. You cannot just go and buy a car and keep it there. No. Even when you are buying the car, or whether you're buying it cash or you're buying it whatever, they are required to ask you for a driver's license. So even when you are working, because you're getting rides from your host, you will have to do your online test. There's a written test that you do. I think it's 25 questions, and you're only supposed to fail like, I don't know how many, but there are very few that you're supposed to fail, because you really have to pass. You really have to pass to close to 100%. Maybe I think you're supposed to miss one. I think I can't even remember very well. So after you do that test, then of course you have driven, like you have learned to drive. Let's assume you learned to drive in where you were, any part you were, and then when you come in here in the US, of course, your host is gonna take that responsibility to teach you how to drive in US roads, because our driving is kind of different. Even when you look at our GPS, I remember when we came in, when we were looking at our phones, when it was saying east, in a Kenyan phone, here it was west. So you find that so many things change. A lot of things change when you come in here. So when you're familiar with the roads and you're familiar with everything, then that's when you're gonna do your driver's test. And your driver's test, normally what happens is that you're gonna go in, and then of course you have done your theory, and then you'll go with someone from the DMV. It's called the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles. Yeah. So when you go, that one officer is going to come with you in your car, and your car has to be in good condition, and then you're going to drive. So he will tell you can turn right or whatever, and watch how you're driving. Are you yielding? Are you obeying the traffic lights and all that stuff? So there's a place that you will drive, and then he will decide whether you have passed the test or not. When you pass the test, then you go in, and then you get a little like receipt, That's awaiting, and then they're going to send your driver's license in the mail. Now you can go and buy a car when you have that little waiting, because it's basically your ID, but it's in paper. You can go and buy that. So those are some of the things that you need to do. The first one, get a job. That's important. The second one, do your driver's test. That's very, very important, because when you go to buy a car, the first thing that they're going to ask from you is your driver's license. Without your driver's license, nobody is going to sell you a car in here in the US. Here it's different. It's very, very different. So those are some of the things that I saw, like the highlights here in the questions in the videos. Let me see if I have another one. So the car depends on the one that you want. But what I can say, just buy a cheap one. Because when you get that car, apart from that money that you'll be paying insurance for that car. And especially if it's a car with a loan, that one you have to pay insurance like a full coverage. Because that car, it's like a leased one. You haven't paid cash. Now you find that there are some people who are like, I'm just gonna work, maybe get like $2,000, $3,000 and buy my own car that is cash. And then when I buy my car that is cash, because the car must have insurance, maybe they decide because they own it, then they want to have a third party insurance, which sometimes is kind of disadvantage. Because if you get third party and your car gets hit, or maybe you hit a person, if you hit a person, the insurance is going to pay that person and it's not going to pay you, which can be a waste, because you don't want to waste your money unless you bought a car for $500 and you are lucky that it's a good car, which sometimes the odds are against you, especially when you buy a car that has got a lot of mileage, or maybe it has had so many accidents and whatever. Another thing that you have to consider when you're going to buy a car is that you can go and buy like in two areas. You can buy a used car. A used car means that, like, for example, the car that I drive right now, if I want to go and get another car, I can go and take it to a dealer's shop, I take it back, and then I get another car. I can do that. Now someone else wants to buy a car that is second hand, they can go and buy my car. Now those ones, they are a little bit expensive. The other cars that they were in an accident and they were salvaged, or they were repaired. Now those ones, they are sold in a different area. Now those ones that are sold in a different area, you find that those ones are always a little bit cheaper, but they still come. They can be good. You can be lucky. What I say, well, if with a salvaged car, for me, what I know is that it all goes with luck, because you can buy a salvaged car that is really good and is going to help you, or maybe you can buy a salvaged car that's going to really bother you and you'll have problems depending on the accident that it had. So, and you find that if, let's assume you have found a job, and maybe you have opened a bank account and everything, and maybe the bank decides to help you out to get a car, you find that most banks are not gonna and they're not gonna finance you to go and get a salvaged car, because they want to give you something that's gonna give you what do we call it, service, that's going to give you a good service. You know what I mean? Because they are selling a service. They want you, yes, you will be paying that loan, but they want you to enjoy what you're paying. So you find that those are some of the things that you have to look at. But at the end of the day, the person who guides you is your host, because your host has lived here for a long time, and they know like what is best for, and of course even what you want, because it's good to listen to the input of a person. Like for example, if I'm hosting a person, I cannot tell them that you do this and this and this and this and this. No, because everybody comes in with a plan. What you do is you sit down and ask them, what do you think you want to do? And then they tell you 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you go in, then you're like, I'm going to help you with 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how it works. But you find that it's very, very easy. So it's not something that you can worry about, oh, how am I going to get a car? The only thing that I can say is that it is good, wherever you are, before you come into the US after you win your DV lottery, learn how to drive a little bit, learn how to know like the parts of a car. You know, where is the steering wheel, where is the brake, where is the whatever, what do you call it, the steering pedal, whatever, all that, where are the brakes. It's good to know, so that when you come in, that like when someone is teaching you, that you're not going to struggle, because at least you know. So the only thing that you don't know is like, we are driving on I think we drive on the left side. Yeah, we drive on the left side, and maybe where you are coming from, you drive on the right side. So those are all the only things that you need to know. But otherwise, after you win the DV lottery, don't worry about nothing. You'll be all right. You'll be fine. You'll be fine, because When you're coming in here in the US, you're finding everything ready. That means that when you come in, you are getting your papers. And then when you get your papers, you're getting a job. A job is there waiting for you. You know what I mean? And then from there, the sky is the limit, guys. So I did want to talk about some of those highlights and so some of those questions. And if you have any other questions, guys, please do not hesitate to ask. And then I'm gonna sample them and I'm going to talk about them now. If I haven't answered a question about hosting, if I haven't answered about a question about DV 2023 or all that stuff, it's because like we are not yet there yet. We're not there yet. But if you have any other question about life in the US and all that, put it there in the comment section and we're going to talk about it. So guys, I'm going to leave it there. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you and God bless you.